Welcome back to continuous coverage on CNBC TV 18 of the World Economic Forum in New Delhi. Now, the recent spike in geopolitical tensions in the subcontinent between two nuclear-tipped nations, India and Pakistan to be specific, has the entire nation talking. India Inc., importantly, is no exception. Now, while there are members of the industry who are seeking an active de-escalation to ensure peace and stability in the region, there are those who argue that the recent spike in these tensions between the two nuclear-tipped nations is the new normal, is the new status quo, and that corporate India needs a reorientation to acclimatize to these geopolitical realities.
The geopolitical that you mentioned is certainly becoming more and more important for businesses in India as we become more and more global.
Okay.
So whether it is Brexit, whether it is something happening in the US, whether it is some terrorist attack happening somewhere, whether it is the border tension happening between two countries, whether it is slowdown happening in China, something happens in North Korea, all of these things have an effect on our business, not just in terms of our exports and operations overseas, but also sort of a collateral effect that happens in India. So geopolitical scenarios in our risk management portfolio are extremely important now.
I don't think this Indo-Pak thing is going to affect businesses much. Automobile industry, I doubt there will be any impact, and I don't think the automobile industry per se is worried about it. We have on our own saying, because we are the largest supplier of the logistics vehicles to the armed forces, we have put in teams of people on our own without any commercial interest to go out there to every army service camp and service these vehicles so that they are battle ready. So, defense is a business which has got a lot of romance, a lot of sense of pride in it, and if anything, defense requirement will go up. So we don't expect a war, we don't hope for a war, but if there is there, I'm sure India is prepared.
I think ultimately our task is to serve the consumers as best as we can, and there is no direct correlation as such between any kind of geopolitical tensions and the consumption of products like ours. So it doesn't mean that it either goes in for a boom or a bust. And possibly, as I do expect, as a proud Indian, I expect and I hope that there is a de-escalation of tensions. And I believe that consumers from a peaceful environment certainly will consume more of products as time goes on.
One thing that we've recommended is the establishment of an export credit agency. There are 50 countries in the world that have export credit banks they use to support export-led business from their countries, and we think India should be one of those.
Is the cost of doing business still intimidating or as intimidating as it was?
Better. No question that the frictional costs, moving goods around, the GST proposal that we talked about before, are all going to help India continue to progress. And I think that should be the point. Lots of progress, but at the end of the day, this is a global competition. And the competition is with China, with Indonesia, with countries around the world. The key to this over the long run is productivity.
For instance, by 2020, what will be the size of the India business given the opportunities you see today? Well,
we'd like to think that we can grow here at significant single-digit to double-digit rates. If the economy is growing at 6 or 7% and we're in basic infrastructure businesses, we think our growth rate over time should be a multiple of that, a 1 or 1.5 times that rate. We have long cycle businesses, so in aviation and transportation, where we book a multi-billion-dollar locomotive deal one year, we don't repeat that next year or the year after. So you have to measure this over time, but certainly an ability to grow at significant single-digit rates or maybe low double-digit rates is not beyond our expectation.
There is a perception of globalization being a bad word. The world seems to be moving towards deglobalization, if I could call it that. So what kind of pressure will that put on the business model that companies like yours have followed for so many years? Well,
if we can't ship jet engines from the United States to our airlines around the world, we're going to employ fewer people in the United States. It's as simple as that. I think we have to make sure everybody understands that. We have to do a better job of telling a story so people don't see globalization as a threat, because you're exactly right. The message now is that globalization is bad. and some form of protectionism and populism is good. We have to be the ones, and companies like us have to be the ones that tell the story in a way that people understand that there really are benefits to this. And we've got a lot of jobs at stake in a lot of countries in Europe, like the United States and Western Europe, that require our ability to participate in global markets.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that this is one of the key risks facing business today?
I'd say it is a risk, for sure. It's one that I think we're equipped to deal with because we've been spreading our wings, if you will, and making sure that we've got the resources and capabilities and manufacturing and servicing agility to do lots of different things in lots of different countries so that we can respond when and where we have to if the walls go up.